Welcome back. It's now 11:26 and we're joined in the studio to talk about some bizarre stories this week from the legal world. And it's with us, joining us is our friend of the show, Andrew Eborn. So come on, what is the legal lunacy that's been going on? Well, I'll tell you what's been.
Time flies like an arrow, but fruit flies like a banana. That's what Groucho Marx used to say. And it's all about bananas this particular week, because we have a couple of things. You might remember Maurizio Cattelan was the chap who went to a Miami museum and duct taped a banana to the wall, and he sold that banana with duct tape for 120 grand. He realised it was so good, he did it again with another banana for another 120 grand, and did a third one for 150.
Were they real bananas?
They're real bananas. This is a real banana. I've done my version. This is a clip art, I think we'll call it. So you work on that sort of basis. But it turns out, he did this in 2019, another artist called Joe Morford had his own duct tape banana together with an orange in the year 2000. So he's now suing on that sort of basis, and we're looking at that sort of stuff, and it's going to be glorious. The dueling bananas is going to be thrilling. But I can tell you, it raises questions about whether he actually copied it and so on and so forth. I will keep you updated about that. But what it does lead into, rather gloriously, fruit flies.
I can't get over somebody's paid £100,000 for a banana that's gone off in a week.
Fantastic. Well, I'll give you this one. When's your birthday? I can sort that out for you. You can have my version of it. It's fantastic. What I love, though, about it, it also leads into the other bizarre stories of the week. Damien Hirst, glorious chap attracting all sorts of publicities, it's been determined that flies have rights. Now, Damien, as you might remember, he does the dead shark in formaldehyde. He's got this one particular work which is called 100 Years, and it involves two cases. In one case, he's got maggots, and in the other case, they've got a sort of light, a UV light. So when the maggots hatch into flies, they fly to the other case, and they all die. And apparently, there's been like a million things Damien has killed. And PETA, who do brilliant work about preserving animals' rights, they said, hang on, you can't do that. It's unfair. It's a breach of Germany's Animal Welfare Act, which outlaws killing or harming of animals without good reason. So what happens is they sort of turn around and say, he's been killing these flies unnecessarily, and they've closed it down. Isn't that glorious?
Haven't we all been killing flies for a long time?
You've got to watch
our fly spree.
Yeah, or the little...
Take it back to the shops or something.
Or the little swat.
It's the little swat, but this is, they make a wonderful noise. It's very satisfying, but don't say things like that. It's got to be good. Well, the other thing that's also happened, because it ties in, it's all about that. The other question which is bothering the Californian courts is whether animals are entitled to the legal rights that humans have.
Well, flies have.
Flies haven't. We've worked that out in Germany. There are no flies in Germany. But the other thing they're asking about is about zoos. It's a really important case. And so what's happening, the organisation is basically saying the Non-Human Rights Project is what it's called. They're looking at whether or not elephants have a right to habeas corpus, which is the right not to be detained illegally. So they've now taken to a number of cases. There was a wonderful case in New York, which was rejected by the highest court, with an elephant called Happy, rather unfortunately. They've now started that case against the Fresno Chaffee Zoo. About 3 different elephants, saying that they are illegally imprisoned and they should be set free immediately. So that's coming to court in the next few days.
So in 1215 with Magna Carta and sort of 1679 with Habeas Corpus Act, do you think they had elephants in mind?
Well, it's totally irrelevant, I would have thought, but they probably didn't have it in mind.
McGee with the joke.
Thank you. It's got to be good. No, I think that's right. So what they're turning around, where do you stop? If animals, because they say, look, animals have feelings, which they certainly do, they look after their young, they mourn the dead, and so on and so forth. But where do you stop? If you take that logical side, then all domesticated animals should be set free. Your goldfish in your little pond, set that free. So you've got to work on that sort of basis.
This must just be a publicity stunt. They can't actually think that a court's going to decide.
Well, no, they are deadly serious about it. And they've got experts from around the world saying how bad it is for the elephant. And it is bad. They need to be properly looked after in big sort of enclosures and things like that. So there is that balance. Whether they have the right to habeas corpus is a different matter.
So when you let go of 3 elephants and you say, OK, out they go, well, I'm taking it they couldn't be put straight back into the wild. They wouldn't be used to it. So what are they going to...
Well, strolling down the high street, shopping at Sainsbury's.
Nelly the elephant off away somewhere. But I think there's is this really the start of getting rid of all, safari parks and zoos? Is this really the start of it to say you cannot have that anymore in a modern society? We want them all back in the wild. That was it. Because now all of your zoos have got to do so much for conservation. I mean, check Leicester Zoo, unbelievable.
Well,
And the whole thing is...
circuses, haven't they? They've banned circuses.
Yeah, but that's different. But the conservation work they do is linked into survival of the species, support of them. They're doing incredible work, and they're going to...
And they're absolutely right. So they're talking about a bigger enclosure. What they do is set them into a much larger space because that's what they need in the wild. And you're right, ZSL, London Zoo, they do great works with tigers. For example, my mother, in her memory, we sponsored a special tiger enclosure for the great work that they do. But I think you're right. It does raise all sorts of interesting questions. And I love the creativity of habeas corpus. It's got to be brilliant.
Well, delighted you're with us again, Andrew, bringing these strange legal stories.
And it's time to split. As they say, it's time to split. It's got to be good.
Well, coming up on the show, we are joined by a representative from the rudest restaurant in the country. But before that, here are your latest news headlines with Tamsin.